In the show, we've been having guests on, and we've been talking about programs like EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, the WINGS program that Legacy currently has, HIMSS program, or the Human Intervention Motivational Study. And you can find more information about that at himssprogram.com, and mentor programs, to name a few. Recently, a friend posted on one of the social media sites about the Suicide Awareness Hotline. And that really kind of shook me a little bit. You know, I personally am not that type of person that would kind of think about those kind of things. You know, I always kind of see the light, at least in my life so far. That I've been able to say that. I feel fortunate that I've been able to say that, but it kind of stops you for a moment to think, wow, are there aviators out there that have been thinking that way? And I'm sure the answer to that at some point is yes. So just be aware that, you know, there are hotlines and people always willing to help. And if you can help, or you haven't checked in on a friend lately, check in on them now, because now's the time, especially if they're in the aviation industry. They don't have to be a pilot. They can be anything in the aviation industry or any industry that's struggling right now. And just reach out and let them know that you're thinking about them, because that phone call could absolutely save a life.
Yeah, you remind me of, since it's just so fresh in my mind, I just listened to episode 39 with you and Owen talking about that whole thing. You know, it's a lot. It's a special lifestyle that we have, and you kind of get addicted to it, I guess, in some way or some form. You know, I kind of can relate to you and to him, where you like to go to certain cities and go running or jogging or whatever it is, or go find a great barbecue place or beer. And that's kind of the allure to this job, and a lot of people look forward to that. And with things the way they have been, everything locked down, being restricted, it's very depressing to go out on the road now. I mean, there's hardly any socializing. I think things are taking a turn for the better right now, but up until this point, it hasn't been anywhere near what it used to be, and that can be very depressing for some people, especially people who really use work to socialize and go out and meet new people or whatever. So they may be feeling that that downward spiral where hey, my life is not good, it sucks, and they may turn to substance abuse, alcohol, or even worse, like you said, suicide. So yeah, it's you should always make sure you're say hi to somebody and see how they're thinking or whatever. That way you never know if they're right at that tipping point. You may bring them back on this side of the good side and say, hey man, let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Pilots are supposed to be cool and collective under pressure. I mean, that's the persona that we're supposed to have, but we're people, we're human, and not just pilots, but anybody, not just the aviation industry as well. When is enough, and how many people are suffering in silence, not talking about it, keeping
that's
it all
the dangerous
in.
part. Yeah.
I'm a talker. I mean, I stubbed my toe and I tell everybody, oh God, I stubbed my toe. Come on, man.
Yeah, that piece of furniture jumped right out in front of me, man.
Toe, man, what the hell? So, that's me. But a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people, they keep it in, and that's tough.
And there might be people, like I think we're all probably lucky and we have significant others that we like, but some people don't. And they might be stuck with somebody that's...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on. So it's always be kind to one another. That's one thing. And yeah, just say hi. That's a good start,
That's it. It all starts with a smile sometimes,
although it's hard to do that with a mask on.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? What's going on? It's all good. So let's move on.
You just got to see if they can smile with their eyes. That's kind of how it goes.
That's right. That's right. So let's move on to the next part of the show, which I'm very happy that I have the three of you on the show with me, because I want to talk about some of the biggest challenges that we've had in aviation and tell a little bit about there we were. Talk about the stories from the flight line. Could any of you have ever imagined that this is what we would be dealing with when we first started out on this adventure to earn our wings? I'd venture to say, no way. Our biggest challenges back then were things like, how do I figure out that crosswind component again? And does it exceed the limitation? I don't know. What are the biggest challenges that we've had in GA? And if you guys can remember back far, Roger, let's start with you. What were some of the very early challenges that you can remember, the hurdles that you struggled with and you overcame in your private pilot rating?
Well, for me personally, remembering back, the biggest challenge for me, quite frankly, was juggling that with going to school full time. I took up flying. I think I mentioned it before when I was in college, and when I decided that I was not going to go into the medical field and I was going to go into aviation, I still stayed in school to finish up my degree, and so I just did my private and instrument training in my quote unquote spare time. I still have a degree in basically a biology and chemistry weighted field in nutrition. And so I still had labs, and I'm not going to lie, my grades did suffer a little bit. Now, fortunately, it wasn't that bad, but they definitely did suffer. And the flying actually was a little bit of it was a secondary thing to me, because I was fortunate enough that my parents were primarily helping put me through school, and I owed it to them to put my best foot or primary foot forward in terms of staying in school and being successful in that. And so then I had to basically fund my own flying and do the flying on the side. So then I've got the financial burden that came down to me because I was not getting any help for that, which meant that I had to find a job to do in order to pay for it while going to school. And so it's like I had, school full time. And then I mean, there were times where I worked 30 to 35 hour weeks when I was in school. And then there was the flying that kind of came after all of that. And so for my private, my instrument, they took me longer than some people because I was doing it very much on the side. And while I was going to school and working for, in order to pay for it. And so that's definitely the thing that I remember the most about that. Just sometimes I look back, all those things that your parents tell you about how you'll wish that you were young again. Sometimes I wish, I think I missed a little bit of the college experience because of that, because I was just so busy. I did not party. I didn't do any, like the typical college student. I didn't do any of that because I was just swamped doing everything else. And I kind of regret that a little bit, mostly just because, college was looking back, those were some of the greatest times, even despite all of that. But flying was just, kind of part of that in that time of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can understand. And I remember you talking about juggling all of that. Sleep was something that was a very rare thing for you.
Oh man, it was terrible sometimes. Like I worked in the intramural sports department, and I would ref basketball until midnight, and then I had a 5 a.m. biochemistry class for 2 quarters in a row. It's like it was killing me. Now, I couldn't do it now. Fortunately, when you're young and dumb and invincible, it's a little bit more possible. But holy cow, it was hard.
Yeah, there's a reason that we do college when we're young and still forming those precious brains of ours, because once you get older, you either have too sensible to go through it, or it just becomes that much more difficult. So, Jerry, what about you? GA experiences that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So after getting my private pilot license, I remember just switching over to learning instrument rating stuff, just how much harder that is, getting your mind into, it's just a whole different way of flying. And I just remember initially having more issues with that than private pilot stuff coming more easily.
Yeah.
And I remember one one particular flight, I'm flying with my instructor, and we're flying an approach, and I must have gone below minimums, or I don't remember exactly what I did wrong, but my instructor, and this stays with me to this day, Brian, who's at Legacy with you guys, he just pipes up and goes, ring, 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 Mr. and Mrs. Bryhan, I'm calling and I regret to inform you that your daughter has passed away. Basically saying I flew into a mountain or something along those lines. And that was like, yeah, this stuff is serious. You know, it's what it brought.
For this, why is he saying this to you in the airplane like that?
I guess I think I just went below minimum. So what he's saying is you can't do that.
Yeah, he's trying to convey the seriousness of being off on an instrument approach. It could be,
which she was very successful with. She remembers it even to this day.
Yes.
It's funny how some of these times you're with instructors and they say things that are a little bit off the beaten path and not what you expect, and you remember them for a lifetime.
Well, yeah, because you look back in your logbook and some of your flights, you're not going to remember all the, monotonous that you do over and over and over to get stuff right.
Right.
And some of them are clear as day, from what was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So that stuck with me, and I don't go below minimums. So
that's it. Not even to take a look, see, nothing, because you can always go around.
That's right.
That's right. When in doubt, go around. And your story reminded me of a story that I was told. I was flying with a captain back in my Sandpiper days, and she was one of the first captains that I flew with that was a woman that was my age or younger, that she didn't take it from anyone, which is a common theme, especially with a lot of female aviators. Jerry, I know you're one of those individuals as well, because we've flown together.
Right? Like when I got I was going to say, when I got in the plane with you.
That's right. You're like, yeah, but no. But I flew with her for like a month, and I was shocked at how many people gave her a hard time because she was a woman, an attractive woman at that. And people were like, you're the FO? No, I'm the captain, ma'am. Oh, is it safe? I'd look at them like, what do you, she's a cap, she's in charge here. She's an excellent aviator. And it just was always something, but she never let that get to her.